Fulvic.
So it helps nutrients get into the plant. So if you're doing a foliar feed or In-furrow, I mean, I'm not going to lie, a lot of my guys up north, we're still going to run some starter, okay, in the furrow.
Sure.
You know, that's just what we're going to do. Yep. We're going to throw Fulvic in it to help it get into that plant quicker.
When I said I was moving away from nutrition in furrow, it's by the farm.
Yeah.
It's based on nutrients from the farm, not a farm-wide program.
Yeah, and I would say...
Out west, we're short on nutrition.
Yep.
So we added nutrition to our in-furrow there.
Yep. That's a good
clarify.
Little... Yeah, but so we're throwing Fulvic in those situations, herbicide applications to get it in. And I think that's one of the questions, you know, like really tough water, should we just do Fulvic or should we still add AMS? Is one of the questions. And I'd be the first to say I would still add the AMS.
Right.
And the reason why is what that sulfur is doing to help complex the nutrients that could be potentially harmful. If you're seeing, when I say potentially harmful as if the chemical has to process it. Okay. Or the chemical may bind to it. Right.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, if we're dealing with really hard water, let's complex that water with, I mean, AMS is cheap, definitely dry comparatively. Do that and then utilize your Fulvic to make sure the active ingredient of that herbicide gets in. Is how I would do that play. If you're seeing great results of just doing fulvic acid, great, but remember Label's law. And I do think some of these herbicides, when I think of like Liberty, that's the first one that I wouldn't want to take out the AMS personally.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Well, yeah, and that was the question: is we're running Fulvic without AMS right now and our herbicide and getting a great kill. Should we now add AMS?
I'm always going to err on the side of caution there, and I would say yes, personally.
Okay.
Now, if Josh doesn't want to do it, great. Don't do it. See results.
Are
right?
you seeing the results you want? And am I correct in saying that the first place they might see the herbicide fail, maybe in the residual aspect?
There could be some truth there in that chemistry. I would say it matters.
That's more of a question.
Yeah, it matters how hard the water is too.
Yeah.
You know, I think that hard water, it turns into a pH deal.
Yeah.
And then the half-life reduces so fast.
Right.
And that's the real thing. So if you're dealing with really hard water, you're dealing with 8 pHs. There's some herbicides, you're talking about hours of half-life. That's not good.
Right. Yeah. Fungicides, residuals, absolutely look at those on your
The killers
pHs.
are insecticides.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah. So if you're there's some, and you can search these charts just like I can.
Okay.
But the moment that it goes from like a 7.5 pH to a 5.5, you're talking like, let's just say 12 hours at a 7.5 to 3 days at a 5.5 for a half-life. So that's just telling you how long until half of the active is still viable.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
all right.
And I guess one thing while we're there talking about half-lives and talking about pHs, like a very simplistic way to say it is keep your pHs below 6.
Right.
That's very simple, and there's definitely nuances though. And those nuances, you're doing a negative on yourself by going that low, just based on the herbicide.
Gotcha.
So if a person wants to go down that road or look into that, more times than not, 6 or below, you're going to do fine.
Okay.
But there are certain fungicides, there are certain herbicides that actually perform better at a higher pH. So if you're going to dig into that road, dig into what you're using, and the data's out there.
Okay.
So,
yeah, the company is probably going to tell you whatever product you're buying, the fungicide, whatever, they're going to tell you how to get the full life expectancy out of it, because they don't want to do a claim. They don't want to have a payout claim.
yeah.
You know, most likely it's in their best interest, and by law they have to do a lot of that.
Well, and everything's more times than not, it's on the label.
Yeah, exactly. It's that thick thing on the front that none of us, when we open it up, all we're looking for is how much per acre, and we flip through all the other recommended things inside there. But yeah, Fulvic, like I said, I felt like we've beat a dead horse talking about humics and Fulvics. But then at FerensCon, we had a we had a poll survey that we did, and over 40% of the attendees asked if we could touch on humics and fulvics again.
Yep.
Because it is becoming more of a thing. It was all the co-ops out there that bashed us and said that snake oil doesn't work. You shouldn't do that. Now all of a sudden, oh, we offer it.
Yep.
Funny how that worked. But, and it's no longer snake oil. Yeah, you should totally be using this, and you're an idiot if you don't.
Yep.
Yeah, that was brought in as an awesome thing to farmers after they were told that they were idiots for using it, and snake oil purchasers. But what does that have to do with anything? But what do fulvics do? Are they all created equal? No, they're not. And there are, the one we have is full 12, or not full 12, that's base 12s or humic, full 10.
Yep.
It's when we want to, we had armyworm like crazy here last year. I think you guys are going to have it this year. It seems to work its way north.
I saw some,
Yeah.
Don't remind me.
Sorry. And anyway, and so we were looking at how do we get insecticides into a plant better, more effectively.
Yep.
Or how do we get nutrition driven into a plant? One we saw last year, this is not a claim, this is only an observation, is that when Fulvic was added to corn post, that the Callisto damage the visible damage to the plant was less.
Wow.
And that was, kind of brainstormed through that one, did that free radical, correct me if I'm wrong, of that herbicide inside that plant had something to bind to, a carbon molecule.
100%, definitely when it comes to Callisto.
Yeah.
I've seen damage just in lower organic matter soils.
Okay.
Lower organic matter, less carbon, fulvic acid adding carbon.
It's moments like that you just drop in, I've seen that. And it's like,
sorry.
Mental combustion. Anytime we're trying to drive stuff into a plant, it's in my in-furrow. Guys want you to move things into plants early.
Yep.
It's as simple as that. Do you want this to move in quicker?
Yeah, and
a better delivery method.
Do you want it in a weed or do you want it in the corn plant? Either or.
Right.
Do you want it to get past the cell membrane and into the plant's vascular system?
Yes. That's really what it boils down to. Anyway, Fulvic's great. Mm-hmm. It's probably one of the. There's a very few things out there that it's like I use this all the time everywhere. And I'm not trying to make this sound like a sales pitch. We've just had a lot of people asking us.
For drone sprayers, I've had a lot more success with the full 10 than the full 5 personally.
Okay.
Just so, fellow drone sprayer out there.
Yeah.
Just get the full 10.
Slow use rate. Maybe we should talk about drones just a little bit.
Yeah, we can. But, and just so everybody knows, everybody's like, well, why is that? Well, it's because of the sulfuric acid that's added to bring the pH down to the full 5. Mm-hmm. Okay, that at the lower use rates, and I think I've talked about this before, we did see a little bit of pebbling with some inert ingredients. Okay. If you're doing one field in a day, that's no problem. But if you're trying to get 5, this year we're going to be trying to do 1,000 acres a day.
Yeah.
You just don't have time to clean filters.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So
it's a logistical thing.
Yes.
And there is, guys have asked, well, is that, probably you just talked about, you want to have pHs lower than 6, but the pH of the Fulvic is 10. It's not enough to change the pH.
Well,
of your
and that's
tank.
something prove to yourself. Get a pH meter.
Yeah.
And make your concoction, and then add 2 ounces of Fulvic or whatever where that correlation would be. It might be 1/4 of an ounce, whatever. Mm-hmm. Put the pH meter in before.
Yep.
And then do it after.
Yep.
And if that swings, that means your water is really pure.
Okay.
And your products aren't messing with it very much. If it happens, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I have bets on the other side, but if it would happen, okay, that's why.
Okay.
And that tells you, okay, then you should probably run the full 5.
Got it. Guys, if you've liked the information that you've seen so far, go ahead and check out the full-length podcast on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe there. It's also on all the major podcast platforms. We're constantly dropping info and more content on all the social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, etc. Check it out for a lot more content